Oh yeah. Okay. Um, this is a lot of fun. Really be talking about doing some wonderful things in Shackley. And there's some basic things that, of course, we want to uh, do and learn how to do, but this is where we're talking a whole bigger picture. And things are happening at lightning speed in Shackley right now. Very fast. And you know, when you start out doing something, sometimes there's some lag time and things just don't happen like we thought they were going to happen. And that's when many people drop out instead of discovering what they can do better and staying with it. It's kind of like the guy who was dancing at the concert. Um, he stayed with it. I don't know why, but he stayed with it. And looked kind of foolish there for a while, but he stayed with it. 4 years ago, Carolyn and I said we were going to change things in the company. We didn't know how, but we knew we would. And we stayed with it in spite of the fact that people shook their heads and said, what, they're crazy. That was like the first person dancing at the concert. So that went on for a period of time. We started the Presidential Master Builder meetings. They started gaining a little bit of momentum. And then what happened, there are other people who came to one and said, boy, these are really good. We want to contribute. Bruce Manis, Madorans put in a lot of effort and time, the Fikes, a number of other people, DeBrinkets, helped Dee Dee Shaw with those meetings. That was number 2 coming into the concert. Stage 2. And then what happened is that people were saying things like, these are the best meetings we've ever attended. People have been in Shackley for 40 years. This is the best meeting we've ever attended. So we knew we were on the right track. We're moving in that direction. Some people are saying, hey, it looks pretty good. They were coming second, third, fourth time to these presidential master meetings. They say we learn each time. But number 3 was Richard's book. That was the third person. And you got to get to 3. And if you recall from that video, that YouTube, when the third person came in, then a few other people started coming in. A number of people started reading the book and saying this is pretty good and so on. They weren't coming in real fast, but they're coming in. They're coming in. You can see them coming in. This thing is building. Well, the big step was when Richard started doing the training program. The book is out there. 7,000 copies are out there. Now people are jumping over each other trying to get in, and they're saying, is there any way I can get a book? Because they're all sold out. Several thousand have been reordered, but they won't be available for about 2 weeks. It's pandemonium running in. And this is something that was pictured 4 years ago. 4 years ago. In Cabo, Charlene Fike talked about building the coordinator. She had the stage for about 45 minutes. 1 week before that, the home office was still trying to push, how do you get distributors and how do you get members? 1 week later, they're saying, you got to focus on coordinator. 1 week later. And last Saturday, there was a meeting going on in Virginia, and Heather was there. The Nisticos put on this meeting in West Virginia or Virginia, and Carolyn Whiten was there. And she sent me a text, and I was in the Lowe's parking lot, ready to get out of my car, and I saw this text message come in. And I'll never forget the time, I'll never forget the moment. But her text said, Heather is speaking, and she just talked about the 4-year career book, and she read what Richard's comments were about Shackley and about Roger. She read that whole thing to the audience. 1 week before, she had said, I hate to see people spending money on this stuff. It's not right. 1 week later, she basically endorses it. As I've been saying, when there are enough people saying we will take ownership of our business, the company will follow and we'll start running the show. The MEC is in a whole different position now than they were a week ago because the field is starting to run the show. And when Carolyn sent me that text, I got big tears in my eyes because it's been 4 years looking for the promised land. And when you finally see it, it's Jubilee. You've seen these pictures of people who maybe have been in prison in another country or something like this, and they finally get out and they get flown to the United States and they get off that plane and they kiss the tarmac. Something they probably have been picturing every day of their life while they've been in prison, that time when you see it happen. They dreamed of it. And so things are happening at lightning speed, and we must realize that we have various choices here. And I'm going to go over the choices. One is to continue doing what you've been doing, and there is no right or wrong in your choice, your decision. The next choice is that we're going to build a couple directors. And that's okay. And the next choice is in 12 months, we're going to build 10 directors, not all first level. Those are the choices. So I like to compare it to farming. Somebody says, well, I'm going to have a garden that's about an acre in size. And that's fine. That's good. But that's in comparison to building a couple directors. The other one is I'm going to have 1,000 acres. And if we follow what we'll be talking about on these Zooms, it'll be easier, less costly to build the 10 directors to do the 1,000 acres than to do the 1 acre. The 1 acre, you're doing it all on your own. Even if you have a couple of directors, they don't get the ultimate motivation from you. Not going to happen. When you have 10 directors, they will motivate each other, do Zooms for each other, and start talking about what if with each other, and be very creative. Will save you incredible amount of time because you'll get good at helping them to keep their vision, helping them to motivate each other. That's a stronger motivation than what you can do. Because many of these people you know. And so people in the group that are going to motivate the group is what's going to happen. So we are going to be focusing on getting the 10. We're not going to be talking about how you work that 1 acre. If you want to do that, that's fine, but you have different tools for that 1 acre. You have a whole different strategy, a whole different program than for the 1,000 acres. And the 1,000 acres, you have different tools. You may have a tractor for the 1,000 acres that cost $80,000. You have workman's comp. You have to have other people helping you. You can't do the 1,000 acres on your own. But the neat thing about Shackley is that you don't have to put out $80,000, and you don't have to put out workman's comp, and you don't have to hire people, and you don't have to pay, have a payroll and everything else. You know, a farmer that has 1,000 acres, if he could get his tractor and all his equipment free, and he has about 10 people working with him, and he doesn't have to pay them, wouldn't that be wonderful? He'd say, this is heaven. Oh, this is great. That's what we'll have. That's what we'll have. So everything we're going to be dealing with is going to be dealing with the 1,000 acres, the 10 sales leaders. And so there are various steps in the process of doing this that we'll be talking about, and we'll start talking about them this evening. But the first step is you must make a decision of the three, what you're going to do. If you don't make a decision, then everything else that I have to say doesn't follow, it doesn't work. So you make a decision, then automatically you're going to start preparing and planning based on that decision. If there is an indecision, then you're going to be thinking, should it be one? Should it be two? Should it be three? There's not going to be any creativity there. You're going to be going over that every day you wake up. One, two, or three. I was thinking yesterday it should be three, but now I'm thinking maybe it should be two. That's as far as you go. You keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Then finally you'll say, well, we're just going to see what's going to happen. That's going to be the formula. So you must make a decision. Once you make a decision, then you start getting creative, and you must have a vision. And with a vision, you're going to have a plan. And I don't know if you recall Richard talking about having a goal and casting your vision. They're different. We've talked about them before. And I thought he did a great job of talking about casting the vision and how you have your goals. Your goals is where you would like to be at a certain time, certain size of business is one, but that's not vision casting. The number one, the most important thing that you can do in your business to grow your business, number one, number two, number three, number four of importance is casting a vision. You're not casting much of a vision for number two. Number three is all based on casting a vision. You must become a professional vision caster for yourself, first of all, and know how to cast that vision. And if you've cast that vision, then you keep getting the vision stronger and stronger. The vision must be cast so well that when you think about it and the end results, maybe you're driving in the car, and boy, this doesn't take a lot of time. You can be doing the dishes, you can be casting your vision. But you may giggle, you may laugh, you may get goosebumps, you may cry. I talked about sitting there in the parking lot with tears in my eyes, but I've had tears in my eyes before thinking about the end result. You must feel the vision. You must feel the end result. You must feel the process. With a goal, you generally don't feel it. So you must feel it. So what are the things that you can do to feel the vision? One is prepare what you're going to do to reward yourself once you've accomplished it. And it may be a trip to Paris. You know, you're talking about moving to a senior executive if you're starting off as a director, or not even as a director, you're going to senior executive. So maybe if you have a family, you're taking them to Disney World. And maybe you're going to go out to Catalina Island or something like this. You're going to do some fun things. And this is where what you do is to sit down with your spouse and say, let's plan what we're going to do. And what you're going to do when you accomplish that is up on your refrigerator. So when you look at it, you're automatically going to start casting the vision again that day. You want to constantly cast that vision. The other thing is, if you have children, you want them to be a part of the reward if at all possible. Because when you're on the phone, kids can raise Cain. And there's nothing better than saying, look, if you help me and Shackley, remember, we're going to Disney World, but you must do your part. And it could be the part of helping with the laundry. It could be cleaning their room. You talk about efficiency of your time is going to be well spent because of that vision casting that you have and what you're going to do at the end of that when you get the 10. The other thing is that you want to put down on a piece of paper the details of what life will be like when you have that 10. What you're going to be doing with the income, details of the trip you're going on. Let's say, for instance, you are going to Disney World. Details of other things that you will do when you go there. There are a lot of other things to see. There's a number of things within 20 miles of Disneyland. So maybe it's going to be taking a cruise out in the ocean. Maybe it's going to be do some deep ocean fishing. I don't know. But put the details of the things that you plan on doing when you go there, whatever it is. If you're going to go to another country or whatever, start checking out all the things you're going to see when you're there. The more things you put down in detail as to what you're going to do, the better you've cast your vision. You then let your upline leader know or other people know what you're going to do. You could send a letter to Roger Barnett and saying, this is where my business is going to be in 12 months. You could send with your picture and where your business is going to be in 12 months. So you start telling other people, like Laura Evans has said, telling everybody, I'm going to be a presidential master, more for herself than for other people. So this is strengthening that vision. Affirmations strengthens the vision. You must come up with a number of things that you can do every day to help to strengthen that vision. Maybe it's getting up in the morning and having a few minutes meditating or saying prayer or thinking of things that you're thankful for that day. Maybe listening to some good music that helps you with that vision. If you're going to Europe, maybe your goal is you wanted to always go and see Big Ben. What would happen if when you wake up in the morning, you push a little button on a recorder and you hear Big Ben banging? There are a lot of things that you can do. I'm thinking of somebody right now who wanted to go to Kenya with Shackley, and they got all these videos of wild animals and the safari they were going to be on. So all this visualization helps you with your vision casting. And so you must have things of discipline that are going to help you with that vision. You must get good at vision casting because you're going to see things and hear things differently. You must learn what people are really thinking, not what they're saying. And if you're a vision caster and you have a strong vision, you will see things from a totally different angle. Somebody called me yesterday from another group. I think it was a key coordinator. They spent 45 minutes complaining about everything of Shackley. 45 minutes, and I listened 45 minutes. And then I said, well, can I tell you why we got into the predicament we're in and where we're going? The train is moving. You ain't going to stop it now. And tried to explain some things. But they wanted to still argue with me. I can't help anybody who doesn't cast a vision. And you will not either. So you must be careful when people say, well, I've got this problem or this or this. If they are not learning, and this is the next thing, you've got to teach other people how to cast their vision. If they're not casting their vision, you're going to get into systems, systems, systems. On the last Zoom I had, a person loves systems, but she can't grow in Shackley. And I said, you've got to be very careful of systems because they move into training and training becomes boring and training takes out the creativity. And when you take people away from their creativity, you've lost it. I've given out the DVD of me doing an in-home presentation, not to do as I do, but to learn from it and be creative so people are glad they came, they want more information, and they're thinking of other people. You figure out how to do it. Maybe you're going to see somebody else's in-home and you're going to get ideas. But I will not destroy your creativity. There are guidelines. You don't talk too much. There are guidelines on making people's day. There are guidelines. But how you do it is up to you. I have somebody in my group who is a manager in the business and very, very happy being a manager. And they generally do over 10,000 volume, and people doing over 10,000 volume get flowers. And what they do is give out these flowers as people come into the office. That's creativity. I'm not going to say, look, when you get the flowers, you keep all the flowers. I'm not going to take away your creativity. So I must learn how to cast a vision, and I will see things differently. I will hear things differently. And be careful about training, because it'll blow away the creativity. I have people in my group they have incredible systems. Step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, step 5. But nobody can grow. And they spend an incredible amount of time, but they can't get past a certain level. Because your main focus is to cast a vision and help other people with their vision. That is being the conductor of the orchestra. That's what you're doing. I mean, that takes care of everything. And there are guidelines. Yes, in-home presentations, they're very important. One-on-ones are very important. I feel showing the 8-minute sales plan is very important. There are a lot of very important things to do, but how you show that 8-minute sales plan, I don't care. Unless you're making statements that are way off base and they're not true. The other thing is, when you've cast a vision, you will be more likely when you start a presentation to tell people, can I tell you why I believe in this company? Which is the way I start my in-home presentations. I sit down with somebody and I believe it. I believe it. When people have these systems, this is what I'm supposed to do, this is what I'm supposed to do on an in-home presentation, and so on, and follow all the steps, they become very boring. But you will learn to ask them questions. So what do you do when you get out the writing skills? Well, I show the writing skills of the child who's exposed to chlorine bleach, the smell. It comes up through the vents. The mother is doing some wash downstairs, and it comes up through the vents, and you can see the writing changes. It changes. It affects them. And then we have the child that is ADD, and they're not doing very well, as you can see with their writing. And then a week later, there's a change. I think you can see the change. Can you see the change in their writing, which is very, very good. It's very good. You got to put feeling and passion into this thing and create pain. Do you realize where this child is going to be in 10 years? My goal, because I've said my purpose, I want to make a difference. And if I can make a difference in that child's life, they may have healthy children one day, but not on the road they're on. Can you put pain and passion into it? So we're going to be very careful about systems and duplicatable process. I don't want to take away your creativity, and I don't want to take away your vision. And you will learn how to help people with casting their vision. That's something they must understand. But it doesn't take a lot to keep them focusing on their vision. So let's say, for instance, they've cast their vision. They have a bunch of kids. They're going to take them to Disney World. That's what they're going to do. And so when you talk to them on the phone, you say, have you been talking to your kids about Disney World? Oh, yeah, they bug us every day. They wake us up in the morning. You know, they're waking us up at 5 o'clock in the morning saying, are we going today? I mean, every day. They're so excited. Let me tell you about some of the things that they've done. They've made these costumes out of paper of Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, and then they take pictures of each other and pretend they're at Disney World. Kids can create a vision. That reinforces the parent's vision as well, just talking about it. Doesn't take long. Boy, it doesn't take long. And so we will get good at helping people with their vision. And this is, like I said, this is basically the essence of building a business. And so as we go along, we'll get better at these things. But definitely one of the things is, as the person starts developing, yeah, we're going to look past the 10 because we don't want people streaking and then stabilizing. So when they start moving, we want people to realize that what you're setting up is going to be solid. You're going to detect a person who comes in and people are going to be excited. They're going to be doing activity. You're going to help them to understand that it goes beyond an excitement and activity. I was raised on a farm, and we would have relatives come from the city, and they said, "Oh, wow, this is so much fun." And they're out there working for about an hour, and they say, "It's too hot and I'm sore. I got to go in the house." Excitement and activity burns out. So therefore, once again, your job is to make certain that they have a vision. So what my dad would do is tell them, "Look, if we get the work done, we can go swimming this evening." So they would continue working because they had a vision. And so a lot of people will come into Shackley because they're just running to get into this thing. It'll be excitement and activity. Those will not be solid businesses. So what we're going to be dealing with is how we're going to prevent reversions 3 years from now. So what you're hearing and what we're going to be hearing on the Zooms, and I'm only doing a couple of other Zooms with the same information, I can guarantee you this message is not going to be covered anyplace else. You're going to be the pioneers. You're going to be the people setting the pace. You're going to be the people helping other people that I'll never reach. I don't have time to. But we want to have strong businesses, and therefore one of the things that you'll do is study the sales plan, as I have studied different scenarios with the 10 sales leaders. Maybe you're going to show that everybody's volume is at 2,800 average. Maybe you're going to show it at 3,500 average, and this is the outcome. But one thing that we're pretty certain of is that you must find leaders in that 10. And if you can end up with 2 leaders, you're way out there in front. Chances are you only end up with 1, maybe 2. People who will stay with it through the thick and thin. People who will add the majority of the people to your recap. So if you can have 1, that they may add 6 or 7 to the 10. But the thing is, they will set the pace and they will motivate other people to get 1 or 2 that you could not do yourself. And you're now setting a good structure that will move right on to key coordinator. If you have 3 people and they get 3 and they get 3 and so on, you'll have a tough time ever getting to key because you'll never get down to that third 3. Because nobody's setting the pace. You've got to have somebody setting the pace in the business. That is a must. So what we will be bringing in on the Zooms is different scenarios of things that you are experiencing to help to figure out where is the best place to get a lot of depth, because this looks like the person who could be the leader. There are various characteristics that you'll pick up as to whether this person is a leader. And if they're just jumping up and down, they're all excited and everything else, and they can't comprehend setting a vision and a goal and so on, this may not be the one, even though they're bringing in a bunch of people now. Because the other thing is, of the people that you bring in, chances are the leader is not going to be the first level to you. They may be somebody who's second or third level, because they're going to respond better to you than the first level, because the first level knows you. Out of 11 first levels that I have, only 2 did I sponsor indirectly. So these are the things that happen, and these are the things we'll be talking about, so you better understand and why it's important to study the sales plan, not just What happens when you have 10, you make it to executive level as an example. But beyond that, because we are setting the cornerstone for presidential master is what we're doing. Because as you build more first levels, you are going to obviously find more people who may pick up and really become good leaders. And so you're definitely looking for 3 or 4 good leaders. And if you have 8 first levels, which ultimately is what you must be looking at, actually 10 first levels, that'll start setting the stage, because out of that, you're going to be able to have at least 3 good leaders, because if you understand presidential master, you got to have a master coordinator and at least 2 legs. So what we're doing is setting the stage for presidential master. This is really what we're doing, if you want to go that far. Because the thing that would really, really hurt is that you have a lot of growth in one area and it stays totally in that area. Then you wake up one day and then the 50% rule comes in and you say, oh my gosh, I wasn't aware of that. We're going to be preventing all that with what we're doing. So you'll be able to bring in different scenarios of people coming into Shackley and trying to figure out where to build the depth, how to develop the leaders. Are you going to set up a Zoom so that the people in on the Zoom once a week, let's say, can be just learning about products? And if you're going to do that, one of the things that works very well is that you have somebody telling some stories. And then next week, you advertise this week what's going to happen next week, because the stories are what people remember. And on the last Zoom, this person was almost adamant about, I've got to have a system for teaching people about products. And I said, it's going to become so boring, you're going to take away creativity. People have fun telling the stories. And if the stories are fun to tell, people pick up the feeling on that and they will relate the story to somebody else. So your key function is to cast the vision. Make a decision, be vision casters, and then we will be learning how to help people in your group cast that vision, even though they're all just very, very excited and they just can't wait for the next thing to happen and the next person they're going to bring in. You must be able to sit down with them and help them to understand the importance of having the goals, having a plan, and casting the vision. Many people want to have goals, or many people actually want to have a plan, but they don't have goals and they don't cast a vision, and it's not going to work. Don't get sucked into somebody says, I need a plan. Well, where are you going to go? Well, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Okay, let's put up the plan. No. We got to figure out where that person is really going to go, what they're really focusing on, and are they going to cast a vision? Questions? So you've got to figure out all the things you can do to have an incredible, incredible, incredible strong vision. That you feel it. You've got to feel it.
Roland, one of the things that's helped me personally with my vision is learning to be comfortable with not knowing the outcome, knowing that I don't know how this is going to happen, but I know it's going to happen. And as soon as you get comfortable with that, it's amazing. You've said it, stuff starts falling out of the sky. You know, I left today, this one a day thing that Richard's got us doing. Well, that sounds so simple. Well, we're 5 days into it, 6 days into it. Well, one a day, that's one a day. So I didn't have anybody on my list today, but I knew somebody I would run into, I would be able to ask if they would like to take a look. And it was 3 o'clock this afternoon when I met this person. and it was the right person. It just works. That's all I can tell you. But it's because I'm comfortable with it. Where before, years before, I might have had to have a what system? I would have had to have a plan. I would have had to know exactly how it was going to work. And guess what? It wouldn't have. So
that is such a great point, Steve. And thanks for mentioning that, because it also helped me to think of when you're thinking, okay, this may be the person. They really look good. And it doesn't turn out that they really do move ahead. Then you've got to be okay with that. You feel comfortable because you know it's going to happen. And likewise, when somebody comes along that you didn't expect and things really start falling into place, you're comfortable with that. You say, I didn't know it was going to be them, but I knew it was going to happen. You must have such a strong vision that when those things happen, you just feel comfortable with it because you knew it was going to happen. And many people who do not have the system, or they have the system, they have the vision casting and so on, and somebody does not pan out as they hope they would, their whole career is lost. It just blew my whole month is shot because of that. That will not happen to you. It will not happen to you because you say, well, not meant to me, I guess. Because what happens in that process is that some people, when they start getting a little rejection or person's not jumping to their feet with this whole thing, well, I better find somebody else. They get mad at them. Instead of pursuing some things with questions, not trying to handle any kind of, things that they're putting up as objections or whatever. But in fact, on another Zoom, this lady said, I gave out the book, and the guy gave it back and said, well, I just couldn't sell. I wouldn't be able to sell. Now, this person has not cast a vision yet for herself. Had she cast a vision, she would have felt comfortable to say, well, I really appreciate you looking at the book, but can I ask you a question? Why do you feel you would be selling? Just out of curiosity. You will learn how to have the pauses. You will learn how to have the right voice inflection. You'll learn all these things. But instead, the person said, I wouldn't be able to sell. Okay. You didn't fit into the system. You're out. Find somebody else. Chuck them off. When you've cast a vision, you're going to be creative and you're not blown away with what they say. And it's okay for you to ask them why they feel that way. That's all I want to know. And I tell them, just out of curiosity, I just like to know. And of course, I've learned to ask people, first of all, thank them a lot for looking at the book. Really appreciate it. And there are a number of ways that you can say that. You can say, well, thanks for looking at the book. Now, what I wanted to ask you, no, I really want to thank you for going through the book. Was there anything that really stood out to you? Just saw. I want to get them talking about those things because everything they talk about that they saw, I can compliment them. And the more compliments, the better off we're going to be. And really thank them. So therefore, if you're a vision caster, you're going to do some role playing and listen to yourself. Listen to the pauses. Listen how fast you talk. Oh, thank you for that. Anybody else have any questions?
I have a comment, Roland. I shared this with you, but I have somebody that I was giving books out to. Said, would you take a look at it? A financial guy. And I have to be honest, when I gave it to him, I wasn't thinking about him. I was thinking about his wife. But then Richard's statement of building an asset is huge, I think, especially for a financial guy. But I'm very excited because, through time now, he's come back and we have an appointment tomorrow evening for him and his wife. We've looked at LaRue, but we thought that was a fad. looked at Pampered Chef because we have friends in that too. We've looked at, I don't know how many companies he even said to me, but he said this one just seems solid. So
Wow.
kind of excited about it. I'm going over tomorrow night and, sitting
Good for
down.
you. That is so good. Doesn't that feel good?
Oh, it does. It does.
It
Yeah.
does feel good.
Yep. Yep.
And that's so important to start casting visions of these things happening and how they happen. And so on the next Zoom we have and future Zooms, we're going to hear from each other as to what your vision casting is for yourself. That's going to be so exciting. I'm picturing it already. That's going to be fantastic because everybody's going to have different visions that they're casting and the details and how they're going to stay on track, because this is the number one most important thing to do, is to cast the vision. Who else? What are you thinking?
I got to jump in here again and just comment that it's okay to have a vision that doesn't work out. When I first got these books, I knew I had this vision of handing out all these books and everybody just going, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and coming back to me. And I realized that vision wasn't quite where I hadn't fine-tuned it. And just today, one of the people I gave a book to that I knew this was going to be my next master coordinator, and she's had the book down for 3 weeks. And so I got a hold of her this morning and I said, listen, I got to have this book back. I've got people waiting in line for it. Can I come pick it up today? And we chatted for a little bit and she's going, well, if I promise to read it tonight, can you pick it up tomorrow?
I love it.
I said, are you sure? She said, well, yeah, I'm going out of town on Thursday. Yeah, I will go down by the pool and read it tonight. I promise. I said, well, if you promise me, I'll let you keep it for 24 more hours.
I love it. Oh, that's good.
So, but it was my vision in the beginning of I wasn't strong in saying, you can have this book, but there is a time frame on it. I just wanted to get the book out because I knew it was so magical it was going to work. But I had to change my vision a little.
That's good. That is so good. Oh, that's very good. Boy, we're going to have so much fun because all of you will be doing a much better job of moving everybody ahead than me. And that's where we're going. It's a group that builds a group. And we're going to, these comments that I'm hearing, I know are very rewarding. The other thing I want to say about casting the vision, the highest casting of a vision is where it goes beyond you and the things that you're going to do to help humanity, like Dr. Shackley would say. And that's the highest level. And that puts more passion into your communication with people, even though you may not tell them about that vision, but it's going to put more passion into talking about Shackley. That's the highest level. And that's why people like listening to Dr. Shackley. He always talked about the future. You ain't seen nothing yet. I remember there was a time I heard the story that Dorothy said to Dr. Shackley when Shackley was just getting started in California. She said, do you think it's ever going to go to other states? And he just said, yes, my dear. He had the vision. What would have happened if Dr. Shackley had not cast his vision? I wouldn't be in the health that I'm in today because he would never have done Shackley Company. He had too many obstacles against him. You can only go through those obstacles, things like he had to go through, when you have a vision. You cast the vision, and other people pick up on that vision. It's a good feeling. Here's something else, and Steve, Linda, I don't know if this has happened or not, but when you're at the top of your game, you're feeling good, you got the vision, you just, endorphins are just, you're just right on top of the game. Have you noticed that people say hi to you and they don't know you and you don't know them? Is it?
Absolutely. And not only do people say hi, I'm having, again, I'm having people call me. I had a gal yesterday. Over the weekend, I was thinking about this gal. I met her 2 months ago. I stopped for a bite to eat on my way to an in-home. And I just chatted her up, and we've kind of communicated back and forth. And I hadn't talked to her in 2 or 3 weeks, but she was on my list because I got to have a list because I've got a vision and I have homework for this list. So she was on my list. I thought about her over the weekend. Guess who texted me on Monday morning? Is this gal. And she's somebody I want in my business. I mean, she's smart. She's young. She works for Transamerica. She makes $80,000 a year, but I know she works too much. And I know that we have a better option. Okay. So she was she texted me on Monday morning, and I said, and so we talked back and forth. Would you take a look? No, I don't want to take a look, but I'd sure like to order some cleaning products. I'm leaving town on Wednesday, but when I get back, I'll take a look. So yeah, this happens. I mean, and people, we have a director in our line, and she said, when I went to this last chamber meeting, because of this education I've gotten, I walked in there like I was a master coordinator, and I felt different, and people looked at me different, and they talked to me differently. And so, yes, this happens. You've got to, if you step up to the vision and immerse yourself in it and see the future and believe the future, I'm a firm believer that stuff comes in from all over the place. It happens to us, and my God, if it happens to us, it'll happen to anybody.
Wow, that is so good, and this is why the vision casting is so important, because all these wonderful things happen that you cannot plan on, but you know they're going to happen, and so it makes it so much easier when people text you and people call you and people step in your path and so on. So we're going to hear a lot of incredible, great stories, and starting with next Zoom that we have. I want to hear what you're doing in your vision casting, what you're doing for discipline to stay there. And the other thing that I was thinking of, Steve, that when you were talking, is that when you cast your vision like this, what happens is that you're so open. You're not a threat to people. People who have a system, and I got to follow step 1, step 2, step 3, and do this and this, they're uptight. And people pick that up even though they're 1,000 miles away. But when you're so relaxed, you just feel comfortable, and people feel very comfortable with you. If we try to have a system, a duplicatable process and everything else, people will not feel comfortable with you, and they'll shy away from you. Any last questions?
No, I want to go back to what you said at the beginning, because I wrote down 3 things, and it to me, it just reinforces what we're talking about. I wrote down: feel the vision, detail the vision, and then strengthen your vision. I think that's so important. It's feeling the vision is what you're talking about. Is when you feel that vision, you're relaxed, they're relaxed, and the stuff comes. So
That's right. Okay, thank all of you for being on. And next week, we will hear from a lot of you and what you're doing, what you're experiencing with the book, things that you get out of Richard's training program. And you can still bring people into Richard's training program for another couple of weeks yet. We will have over 1,000 people. Right now, we're well over 700, I think 750. And I was saying a couple of weeks ago, we're going to have 1,000. And a lot of people said, well, if we can just get 400, that'll be good. If we can just get 400, that'll, pay for the expenses and so on. And I said, no, we're going to have 1,000. We are going to have 1,000.
I just looked tonight, Roland, and there's right at 800 in the Facebook group.
Wow, there's 800.
It's right at, I think it's 780 something.
Yeah, we're going to probably be about 1,200 people.
Yeah.
Can you see the change that's going to happen in all of Shackley? Can you see the change that you're making? You are a part of history, all of you.
Yes.
I just want to compliment you. You're a part of history, and you're going to be the pace setters in helping people to understand how to really have a very, very strong business. Very strong. You'll be able to do leadership meetings. Other people come in and say, look, I want to get all my people together, and I want to hear you talk about casting a vision. We've tried to talk about it, but it's just not going through. We want you to talk about that. I mean, start picturing those things. That is helping you with your vision. It really is. Okay, we'll talk next week. Thank you for being on.
Thank